In a small boarding house somewhere in Tokyo, chaos breaks out as a swarm of zombies chases a man named Tendo. Shocked and terrified, he can hardly believe what's happening. The nightmare he used to have about zombies has now become his reality. The undead are fast and relentless, forcing Tendo to run for his life. Yet, amid all the panic, one ridiculous thought crosses his mind. He can't be late for work. Why on earth would he still be thinking about work while running for zombies? To understand that, we need to look back 1 year earlier. At that time, Tendo was just about to start his first job. It was his dream position, a well-paid role at a modern company, working in the commercial production department. He was full of enthusiasm and excitement, imagining a bright future in a comfortable workplace. On his first day, he received a warm welcome from his 2 supervisors. One of them happened to be a stunning woman. It didn't take long for Tendo to develop a crush on her. Everything seemed perfect: friendly coworkers, good food, and a promising career ahead. But that illusion quickly faded. While he was enjoying a meal with his colleagues, his male boss casually told him to return to work at 11 p.m. Yes, that same night. Confused but obedient, Tendo went back, only to find himself stuck in endless overtime. He couldn't believe it. His very first day, and already he was working through the night. At first, he tried to rationalize it, telling himself that overtime was normal. But when the late nights turned into all-nighters, he began to realize he was being worked like a machine, while his boss slipped home to rest. After just 2 days, dark circles shadowed his eyes, and when he finally made it back to his boarding house, he collapsed in his sleep immediately. Things only got worse from there. He had to work weekends, skip holidays, and even sleep at the office since there was no transportation allowance to cover his train rides home. One day, while asking his boss for advice about a design, the man snapped, shouting at Tendo to figure out himself. When Tendo tried to clarify, the boss slammed the table in anger, humiliating him further. Completely drained, Tendo confided in his best friend, Kensho. Kensho listened and told him straight. If the company was that toxic, he should quit or find a new job. But hearing about Kensho's stable career and the fact that he even had a girl interested in him only made Tendo more frustrated. Trying to lighten the mood, he teased Kensho about their old football days, reminding him how their team lost because Kensho didn't pass the ball during a crucial play, jokingly calling him a coward. Little did Tendo know that soon, his exhausting work life would feel like a dream compared to the nightmare that was about to unfold, the zombie apocalypse. This made Kensho angry, and eventually the 2 best friends fought. The next day, and afterward, Tendo went back to facing his toxic boss, but he tried to stay patient and kept working, even though he knew that the company was truly exploitative. But on the other hand, he still felt conflicted about whether to resign or not, especially since he had already worked hard to get the job after going through many interviews. At least, he felt comforted when he got encouragement from the beautiful female boss, and he considered her a wonderful woman. But she didn't feel wonderful at all and said that sometimes they forgot what they truly wanted, and then she gave Tendo a bottle of juice as a gift. 1 year later, because Tendo had gotten used to spending a long time at the office, he didn't have the chance to take care of his messy boarding house room. And when he heard the morning alarm, he felt too lazy to go to work. But at the same time, he felt conflicted because he didn't want to lose his job. One day, when he was about to leave for work, he saw the landlord doing something strange. So Tendo greeted him with good morning, and then the landlord turned around, and it turned out he had turned into a zombie who was eating someone. As a result, Tendo panicked when the zombie landlord chased him. And it wasn't just him. Many people had already turned into zombies. So Tendo quickly ran down the boarding house stairs. When he got to the rooftop, Tendo quickly climbed over a fence, and finally, the zombies couldn't chase him anymore. Not long after seeing a plane on fire, he looked at the condition of a city, which was filled with smoke and many zombies attacking people in various places. This made him think that the zombie apocalypse was already here, but that disaster didn't make Tendo sad. Instead, he felt happy because he didn't have to go to work anymore and meet his toxic boss again. And then Tendo screamed in joy. After lying down and screaming for a while, he started to think about what fun activity he could do to heal, since he hadn't gone on vacation for a whole year. Not long after, he remembered the juice that the pretty boss always gave him. So Tendo drank it and became worried about her condition in the middle of this chaotic capital. So once he knew the internet signal still worked, he tried chatting with the pretty boss, and she replied immediately, asking him to come to her house with the location address. Meanwhile, there was a husband and his pregnant wife doing a self-lockdown in their unit in Tendo's boarding house building. At that moment, The wife tried to find out the cause of the zombie transformation on TV, but the media only said the symptoms were suspected to be from an unknown disease. Soon after, Tendo came down the building using a pole and told them that he would stop by the mini market on his way back. So he asked what they needed. The couple replied that they wanted instant noodles and fruit. After putting on his earphones to listen to music, Tendo started to dodge zombies on the streets with his bicycle and forgot that the zombies could run. So he sped up his pedaling. When he arrived at the pretty boss's place, Tendo was surprised that he could open the door and found the place empty. When he met the scared, pretty boss, Tendo thought she was alone, but she wasn't. She was with the company's boss, who had already turned into a zombie. So Tendo had no choice but to fight the zombie boss, and after getting thrown from the zombie's attack, Tendo remembered his experience as an American football player, thinking that he really had to use his strength to fight the zombie. So he used that strength to gain the upper hand until he managed to knock down the zombie boss. And then he got scolded by the pretty boss because she was mad at the zombie boss, who had lied that he had already divorced his wife. It turned out that the pretty boss had been the zombie boss's wife all along, and Tendo just found out. Suddenly, the pretty boss collapsed and then had seizures, because it turned out she had been bitten on her arm and leg by the zombie boss. As a result, the zombie virus spread throughout the pretty boss's body. Then she rose again, and finally, she turned into a full zombie. This makes Tendo feel unbelievable, but he refuses to fight this zombie version of his lady boss. So, Tendo just avoids her, and in the end, he confesses that he has liked her since the first day he joined the company. But now, the lady boss has turned into a zombie, and Tendo has no choice but to leave her behind. When he returns to the boarding house, Tendo sees the couple's unit in chaos with bloodstains, assuming that they have turned into zombies too. As he feels sad thinking about this terrible situation, he remembers what the lady boss once said, that sometimes people forget what they truly want. That moment inspires Tendo to make a wish list of things he wants to do. So he writes it in a notebook with the title 100 Things I Want to Do Before Becoming a Zombie. First, he wants to confess his feelings to the lady boss, but Tendo already did that, so he crosses it off the list. Then, he writes other wishes, like shopping without looking at prices. After writing 10 wishes, he feels confused thinking about the other 90, so he decides to focus on doing those 10 first. After cleaning his messy room, Tendo goes to a supermarket to grab anything he likes, then draws a huge face of himself on a glass building, steals a cool motorbike, and finally sets off lots of fireworks at night. But after doing all of that, for some reason, he feels empty again. Still, he tries to stay focused on doing what he enjoys while he still can. One day, while about to eat some tasty food, he forgot to add seasoning. So, he goes to the mini market, but as he grabs the seasoning he needs, he hears a strange sound nearby. It turns out to be someone in a helmet who tries to attack him. So Tendo tells the person that he has not been bitten. Once the helmeted person believes him, Tendo gets angry, but his anger quickly stops when he sees that the person is actually a pretty girl named Shizuka. Tendo becomes mesmerized, but he snaps out of it when he hears someone screaming for help while being chased by a zombie. As the zombie chases Tendo, Shizuka bravely knocks it out with a stick. Tendo sees that Shizuka already knows the zombie's weakness, that they are sensitive to sound and blind when finding their target. This makes Tendo even more amazed with Shizuka, even thinking she's like Mila Jovovich from the Resident Evil live-action movies. Tendo then invites Shizuka to take shelter at his place, but she refuses because she wasn't trying to help Tendo earlier. She was just protecting herself. Still, Tendo believes they should help each other in a situation like this. But Shizuka doesn't want to be with someone who risks his life just to save strangers, because she thinks that can threaten her own survival. So, she chooses to avoid risk and leaves. Back at his place, Tendo looks at a photo of him with his bestie Kensho and remembers that Kensho once said something similar to what the lady boss told him. That makes Tendo feel worried about Kensho, so he tries to call him, and it turns out Kensho is still alive when the call goes through. But Kensho can't speak loudly because he is surrounded by zombies outside his hotel room. After knowing the hotel's location, Tendo goes to rescue him using a motorbike. On the way, he sees that zombies have taken over the streets. So, Tendo avoids them and reaches a smaller road where he sees the hotel Kensho stays in, surrounded by zombies. Remembering that zombies are sensitive to sound, Tendo has prepared a portable music player that can play loud music. So, he turns it on, which draws the zombies toward it and allows him to sneak past a smaller number of zombies. After Tendo and Kensho meet in the hotel hallway, Tendo apologizes for their previous fight. But before they could do anything else, they already have to run from the zombies that have detected them. Nearly 1 week after the zombie outbreak spreads across the capital, there's still no sign of help to eliminate the zombies or any info about the origin of the zombie virus. When Kensho sees an Instagram reel about the zombie attacks, he thinks they need to leave the capital. Tendo says he wants to go to a destination he has in mind, a large aquarium theme park. He thinks of this because Kensho has thanked him for saving his life and assumes that Tendo is someone who will save everyone from this zombie outbreak. Tendo remembers that at the aquarium, there's a full-body protective suit made to resist shark attacks. So, he believes that with that steel armor, the zombie bites won't work, and that will be the beginning of his journey as a superhero. Kensho agrees, but before going there, they stop by a store to gather supplies. After finding a camper van that still works, they enter the store, but before that, they see a bus carrying many people that fails to get through a horde of zombies, and several passengers end up dead. They see the bus driver with 2 confused girls, not knowing where to go, and Shizuka, who is being attacked by zombies. Tendo tells them to go into the store, just as a swarm of zombies chases them. Once they all get inside, Tendo and the others quickly block the door, and one zombie's hand gets cut off when the door shuts tight. While checking around the store, the bus driver tells them he and the passengers were also planning to go to the large aquarium theme park, just like Tendo's group, because everyone is talking about it. He says the place has barricades to keep zombies out and also plenty of fish, so the food supply will be safe. While relaxing, the girls reveal they are flight attendants who just returned from another country, reminding Tendo of one of his wishes, to have drinks with flight attendants. So Kensho tells Tendo to go for it, but he becomes shy when he tries to invite them to drink, and they end up hanging out with Kensho instead, who apparently has a great body. As a result, Kensho gets excited, and he and the girls plan to have fun together somewhere. Kensho apologizes to Tendo afterward. Not long after that, Shizuka arrives, and since they haven't properly introduced themselves, Tendo tries to shake hands, but Shizuka notices that Tendo's palm is injured. She thinks he got that wound while closing the store door earlier. So Shizuka treats it with a bandage, and Tendo starts to feel his heart race again. While they continue to talk, suddenly the driver wakes up from his nap, and it turns out he has turned into a zombie after hiding the bite he had received earlier. So Tendo and Shizuka run as the zombie driver starts chasing them. At that time, Kensho gets special treatment from the 2 flight attendants, who tell him that they will experience something called turbulence, but they will keep flying at high speed, then go higher and even higher, until suddenly, the zombie driver bites one of the flight attendants. After both flight attendants turn into zombies, Tendo and the others try to avoid the zombie attacks, until finally they manage to escape the store and steal a camper van. On their way to the big aquarium, Tendo notices that Shizuka still looks grumpy, so he tries to cheer her up, even pulling out her favorite drink, because Tendo once saw Shizuka carry that drink at the mini-market before. Before reaching the big aquarium, Tendo wants to invite his 2 friends to heal a bit by soaking in an onsen, and finally, Shizuka gets tempted while showing her Tsunder's side. Before they reach the onsen, they do several fun things, like releasing some doggies to help them escape from zombies, then paragliding, and having a meal on top of a hill. After they enjoyed the onsen, they continued their journey until on the 10th day, they saw the big aquarium right in front of them. They got super excited to reach it, but suddenly their tire went flat, caused by a bunch of nails spread on the road by someone. Their car went out of control and hit the roadside barrier, and Tendo passed out after his head hit something hard. Sometime later, Tendo woke up when he heard a very familiar voice. It was his former boss, Kosugi, who was still alive. At first, Tendo thinks the zombie outbreak is just a dream, but Kosugi corrects him and says the outbreak is real. He invites Tendo to take a walk around the big aquarium, which he claims to be his new survival company. Kosugi says he and his crew were filming when the outbreak started, and he decided to settle here after seeing there was a lot of food, especially fish. As they keep walking, Tendo meets the married couple from his apartment, who apparently survived and now work various jobs under Kosugi's company. Kosugi says the company now runs smoothly, but he can't accept too many people due to the limited quota and food. He then shows how the security team works, who can trap zombies and lure them with sound when the supply team goes in or out for goods, making looters think twice before attacking. Now, Kosugi wants Tendo to work for him again, but since Tendo hesitated, Kosugi threatened to do something to Kensho and Shizuka, and he laughed when he saw Tendo pressured. During lunchtime, Tendo and friends got small portions, while Kosugi and staff ate a lot, and Tendo became Kosugi's servant. This led to discrimination. So, Kensho got angry and wanted to hit Kosugi, but the husband stopped him, saying they all might get kicked out. Knowing Kensho and Shizuka wanted to escape, the husband secretly guided them to the parking lot, where they saw their camper van still there, but with flat tires. Kensho fixed the tires, then he and Shizuka invited the husband to escape together, but he and his wife chose to stay at the big aquarium because they believed they couldn't survive outside. Tendo also chose to stay, as he felt tied to Kosugi, so he went back to work. This made both his friends feel down, but when Shizuka saw Tendo's wish list, she realized he actually had a big dream, to travel across the country with them. Thinking Tendo kept that dream inside, Kensho and Shizuka met Tendo again and asked him whether he still wanted to join them while showing his travel wish. Suddenly, Kosugi snatched the list and stepped on it. Tendo got mad and slammed Kosugi down. He finally got the courage to say he wanted to resign from the company and thanked Kosugi for all his toxic guidance. Meanwhile, when a supply team member retrieved food from the market, he didn't realize that a zombie hid in the box. Once he returned to the aquarium and opened the box, the zombie attacked, biting several nearby staff. This distracted the captive zombies, who started attacking as well. Chaos broke out in the aquarium, and some people got devoured. Just when Tendo and friends felt inspired to travel again, a wave of zombies interrupted them. It told everyone to run, though not all managed to escape. After they secured many people in a hallway, Kensho went to confront Kosugi in the exhibition room, angry that he had run away from his staff. Suddenly, a loud thump shook the room, and a shark appeared, swallowing one staff member. It was a great white shark that turned into a zombie, making everyone panic. Shizuka said the shark couldn't follow them, but she was wrong. The zombie shark grew legs made from the zombies it ate earlier, infected by their virus. Now the zombie shark has many legs, so everyone runs, and Kosugi gets separated from Tendo and friends, who enter a safe room. But Tendo doesn't want to leave his old boss behind, remembering his wish to become a superhero. So he puts on protective gear and goes to save Kosugi, with Kensho's help. Knowing Kosugi returned to the exhibition room filled with zombies, Tendo went there to rescue him. Shizuka helped by making loud noises to attract the zombies, causing them to fall into the aquarium. After seeing the zombie shark struggle to break in, Kosugi appreciated Tendo's effort. But when Kosugi mocked the zombie shark, it suddenly launched him away, and he passed out. Feeling shocked by the zombie shark that managed to break in, Tendo has to fight the zombie shark to save Kosugi, while Shizuka thinks about using electricity from two big batteries to attack the shark's weakness, because it has an ultra-sensitive sensor on its head to track prey. So, Tendo can conduct electricity using his steel suit. The problem is Shizuka gets confused about how to give the two batteries to Tendo. So Kensho volunteers to do it, because he remembers his regret for not passing the ball to Tendo when they should have won the American football match. Because of that, Kensho redeems himself by throwing the two batteries to Tendo. Once he catches them, he jumps toward the zombie shark to strike it, so the electricity from the batteries flows through its whole body, and finally, it dies. After Kosugi wakes up from fainting, the situation becomes safe and under control again for a while, and everyone decides to leave the big aquarium, including Kosugi's staff, who don't want to work anymore after seeing Tendo's fight. As a result, Kosugi gets angry, and when he tries to convince Tendo again with a better position, he refuses the offer, and in the end, the boss gets left behind. On the way, Tendo thinks that his two friends should also write their wishes in a list book so that one day their wishes can reach 100. So Kensho writes that he wants to become a comedian, while Shizuka wants to become a doctor, and Tendo himself writes that he wants to become a superhero as his new job. Zom 100 bucket list of the Dead movie ends with Tendo and friends starting their journey to travel across the country. And finally, I thought the boss would get eaten by the zombie shark that was still alive, but it turned out he didn't. Watch other movie recaps by clicking on the screen on the left.